you so much. As I said, my name is Umesh Agarwal, as you already know, and I'm here because I love to speak about the topic of today's session, which is the customer experience. A little bit about myself. I just wanted to be vindicated for who I am, and so since none of you know me, so that's what I thought. Okay, let me come out with who I am, what I've done so far, and so that's how you know. So basically, I'm an architect and a project manager. That's what I've done in terms of my education. I did my bachelor's in architecture from NIT Trichy in Tamil Nadu. Uh, Although I come from the Shekhawati region, that's where I was born in. And you know that most of the large business houses in India are from that region. So I had that gene of retail and business and all that since my childhood. And but then I somehow landed in Tamil Nadu to do my bachelor's, which was the first kind of a leap of faith I took early in my life. That was followed with the MBA from Manchester Business School, UK, and then people suggested that I need to get into the project management as well, and that's why I went for the project management professional certification from PMI USA. Over the years, and with the advent of futuristic technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all that, I was very interested in as to what is going to happen in my industry when all these technologies come in. So I ventured into doing postgraduate diploma in data science as well from IIT Bangalore. Which was followed with a Thought Leader Foundation course from Thought Leader Business School, Australia. And recently, in last 6 months, I've done a lot of different certifications. So I'm now a certified customer experience expert as well from the Customer Service Institute of America. So that's what I am in terms of my educational background. From my professional background, I started my journey in the retail industry from Reliance Infocom way back in 2004. And I think most of you must remember that Reliance Infocom, before Jio could happen, ventured into the mobile business with Mr. Anil Ambani getting into CDMA mobile phones. And the slogan at that point of time, you must be knowing, Kar lo duniya mitti mein. So that is where I was brought in for the expansion of the retail stores across the NCR and the Rajasthan region. So I was working with the Reliance Infocom for expansion of their Reliance Webword outlets. Some of you might be knowing about those outlets. So that's how it started. And then obviously, I was watching around the world also as to what is happening, and I was told that Dubai and the UAE is the market where retail is, booming like anything, and that's how I landed way back in 2007 in Dubai. Started working with Landmark Retail Group, which is also the lifestyle group in India. That was in 2007. So since 2007, now I've been here. So this has kind of become my second home. I got married in 2009, and the way I was working in Landmark Retail Group, obviously, I was every day I was in a different country, 24 hours. There was no time, so I would have got divorced in first year itself if I had not shifted from UAE. So I took a sabbatical and went to Bahrain to join another retailer, which is Jawad Business Group. I worked there for 3 years. Our daughter was born there, and since Bahrain did not have much of the Indian schools, when the daughter was growing up, we wanted her to put her into a better Indian school. So we shifted back to UAE, but this time I landed in Abu Dhabi and joined another retailer, Lever Trading Enterprises, which is again a large retailer in UAE, having 40 plus retail brands in their kitty, along with some homegrown brands. Lately, and the lastly, which I worked in the retail industry, was Axiom Telecom, where I joined in 2014, and I just left them a few months back. So that has been my journey in terms of my retail, footprint, as they say. So I'll not take much time and go directly onto the subject of today's discussion. I'm sure by the time we end this presentation, each one of you will know what is customer experiences. You would have already kind of devised a strategy for your own businesses in terms of customer experience. I can assure you this thing. So as they say, sit, relax, and enjoy the flight. So what is CX? I mean, if any one of you would like to say a few words as to what your understanding of customer experience is, any one of you, if you would like to say something about as to what do you know about CX before I say what it is. Anyone would like to give it a go? Anyone? Don't. There is no right or wrong answer. Please.
Is it about the feedback what the customer gives?
Yes, that is one aspect of it. Yes.
Positive
Anyone else?
experience that makes your customer come back to you.
Customer coming back to you. Yes, that's.
I think it's a feel.
Yeah.
It's a feel how the customer feels at the purchase point.
Absolutely. So this is what you've nailed it. So this is about customers' perceptions and feelings resulting from interactions with the company's products and services across various touch points, which they go through during their entire journey with the company. So basically, we are all customers. We may be selling products and services, but at the same time, we are also the customers buying product and services from someone else. So it's about our perceptions and feelings, which happens when we interact with the company for their products and services. Now, this interaction can happen at different touch points. We'll talk about all these things, all these underlined points here as we go through. And then the entire journey which we have from the time we think about buying something and the time we have bought or we have not bought, or beyond that. So we'll talk about all these things. Three things which I highlighted in this definitions is what are the components of the customer experience, which we will touch base upon in detail in the following slides. But before that, I mean, one of you said that it's also about taking a feedback. Sometimes people confuse customer experience with customer service. I mean, this is what I feel. What do you feel? Do you think customer experience and customer services are the same thing? Anyone want to take it and say why do?
No, they are different.
Yes, they are different. Anyone else?
I think customer service is
Yeah.
just an element of the overall customer experience. Customer service could be just an aid, and customer experience is much wider, bigger umbrella, under which customer services also plays a part.
Absolutely. So customer experience and customer services are not exactly the same thing. As Jaspreet said it so correctly, customer service is just one part of the entire customer experience. So it's the act of assisting the customers before, during, and after the purchase. So don't think customer service as something where you bought a product, you got some issues with it, and then you go on a call with a call center guy, and that's what you call as a customer service. Customer service happens even before you purchase something, during when you're purchasing, and even after the purchase. So it's just a part of the entire experience which you have. CX is basically it encompasses all the interaction which you have with the company. So they are two different things. Sorry. Yeah. So as I said in the definition that there are three components of the customer experience. I will first few slides are a little bit on a theoretical side. So just bear with me, and then we will make it more interesting as we go through. So three components which we discussed in the customer experience definition was the journey map, touch points, and perception. So I'll just take you through as to what is the customer's journey is from end to end, what are the touch points he or she goes through, and what kind of a perceptions they have when they are going through this experience. So then you will it will make sense to all of you. So what happens when you start your journey towards buying a product or a service? So there is a need which you have, or you want something, or you heard of something somewhere, so suddenly you became aware of a product that, oh, okay, this is something is available. Like Mr. Varun was speaking about the solar panels for the residential units, and that is where there was a lot of interest from other members also. Oh, I want to have. Yeah. So he made you aware of the solar panels which are available for residential, and he also told you as to what are the benefits of having it as against your electricity which you are receiving from elsewhere. So we always start our journey from this point where we either have a need, we want something, or somebody has made us aware of a product or a service. So second point, what happens to the next step? Consideration. You start considering it. Like some of you have said that, oh, we want to have it. We want to have a one-to-one with Mr. Varun because we are considering it. So there is an interest for you to go and buy that product. So you want to know more about it. So third step, what happens? If you are convinced, you go ahead and purchase that product or service. Okay. In retail terminology, it is also called as conversion. So they have converted a prospective client into a client who has bought your product and services. What happens at the fourth step? You are now experiencing that product. You're using that product. So you are having some kind of experiences when you're using that product. So suppose you bought a Apple iPhone first time in your life. So you come across so many features, so many different things that suddenly you are having an exhilarating experience for yourself. And this is where the retailer will say, I would like to retain this customer now. And so in retail terminology, this is the point which is called as retention. Some of you have also said in terms of the definition of the customer experience, like customer coming back to buy something, that kind of experience. So that is retention. Now, while using that product for some time, you might need some kind of a maintenance or support. So that is the next stage in your journey where you have to speak. Maybe Mr. Varun has installed some solar panels at your rooftop and suddenly it has gone faulty. So you need to call Mr. Varun and say, Varun, please, I'm not happy with your services. It needs some maintenance. I need support. So Mr. Varun goes on a spree and make sure that you're happy. So that's the next part of your journey. The last part in that journey is when you go and tell the other bank members who are not there in this room today that Mr. Varun's product is very good. Please go ahead and buy his products. I'm very happy with it. So you become loyal to Mr. Varun. You become loyal to the product and services which you bought, and you start advocating it. You start talking about it to your friends, family members, and others. So this is the end-to-end journey, and it might stop there where you're just talking about the product or your experience of that product and service to others, but it might go beyond also, where you start the journey once again by going ahead and buying another product from Mr. Varun. So that's the entire journey. So that is what is called as the journey map of a customer. Now, what are the touch points? So this was the broad stations in your journey which I spoke about. Now, in each of these stations, there are certain touch points also. Now, why we call it touch points? First of all, they are points, obviously, and you touch upon each point. That is why they are referred as touch points. So these touch points could be direct or indirect. So when I was talking to Mr. Varun directly on a call saying that I need your support, I need maintenance, that was a direct interaction I was having with Mr. Varun. But it could be indirect also, where I'm just going through Mr. Varun's website just to try to find out as to what kind of products and services he's selling. So there it is indirect. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just browsing. I'm just researching. So, but that's also a touch point, because Mr. Varun has to make sure that his website has all the details, so that when I'm going through his website, I get all those details, which convinces me that, yes, I need to buy Mr. Varun's product and services. So, and you could be speaking to a living person or a non-living one. All things are touch points. Now, what happens during these touch points? Mr. Varun is unfolding his story of what he does in each of those touch points. This is also an opportunity for Mr. Varun to woo Umesh, because I'm his prospective customer. I'm going through his website. This is the point where Mr. Varun will make sure that I get convinced that, yes, I have to buy. And this is where I make a perception about Mr. Varun and his product and services. So this is what the touch points are. Now, what are the touch points in all those stations which you talk about in your journey? So we said need and want. That is where you might have seen something on social media or a newspaper or digital signage you've seen, or a hoarding while driving on the road, or in TV you saw some ad and suddenly saw something in magazine, or some of your friends and families came and said that, oh, you should go and buy this product. So these are all the touch points, at that station or that point of journey. Second thing, we spoke about when you have the interest in buying that product now. So what happens? Just a second. Yes. You might be looking at the website. Now in the website, you land on the landing page where all the product description is given, the product images are given, there are customer reviews. You're going through all these things, which is because you are interested in buying that product. So you want to convince yourself, you're researching, you're you're comparing the prices, you're comparing the the product features, you're doing all sorts of things which take you to the next level, which is when you purchase it. So now when you're purchasing something, you're doing it. Nowadays we do most of the things on the e-commerce websites, on marketplaces. We might not go to a physical retail stores, but purchase is purchase. Wherever you do it, you go across many different touch points. So the touch points which I mentioned here are applicable on both online and offline. Like you go through a checkout process, you go through the payment. It could be a cash on delivery, it could be a credit card, it could be any other means of a payment. Then the delivery, you are looking at the delivery, whether it happens on the same day, next day, 10 days after, you don't know what it is. Shipping, emails, the seller tells you, sends you emails telling you as to what stage your product is. You might receive SMS, you might receive a call when it is to be delivered and all that. These are all touch points for that stage when you have made the purchase. Now you're using that product. What are the touch points in that product? When you're using the product is, you might need a manual. It could be an online manual or offline manual. You might have to speak to some technical support because you don't know some features. So you want to speak to that guy and say, okay, how do you operate this and that? Genius Bar, if you've heard of, Genius Bar is one of the, area in all the Apple store, which is where they teach you about the different features of an Apple gadget. So this is an excellent free of cost service. So if you bought something or about to buy something from Apple, go there, sit with those guys, they will tell you everything. So it's an amazing touch point which they have created, and they're making sure that that touch point creates that curiosity in you to go ahead and buy it. What happens at the next point where you need the support? You might call a call center, you might go to the service center, you might speak to a chatbot nowadays. The chatbots have become very famous. There is no human involved. You are speaking to a machine. He keeps you sending questions, you keep answering them. Then there could be email support you need. There might be a phone call you have to make. There is WhatsApp communication happening. There could be a mobile app of that company where you're chatting with them. And the last point is the loyalty. Now, loyalty, as I said, is basically talking about that product, talking about those services, writing your reviews on their websites, recommending it to others, spreading word of mouth, writing it on the social media, on their mobile app and all that. So these are the touch points which you have in each phase of your journey when you are buying a product or a service. Now, the last point on the definition of the CX, I said it's about perception, the customer's perceptions. In other terms, they are also referred to as the moments of truth, because these are the points where you decide whether you want to buy that product or service or not. So consumers have a certain expectation even before they interact with you. Yeah. So you, me, whatever we want to buy, we have certain expectations that when I'm going to interact with Mr. Varun, this is what I'm going to get. So I have some expectations already in me when I'm going to talk to Mr. Varun for his services. So I made some kind of a perception based on my study or my research or the stories I've heard from other people who have used his product and services. I have already got some kind of a perception about Mr. Varun and his product and services. So I have created expectations around those perceptions. So based on these expectations, Mr. Varun has to make sure that he does something which is kind of exceeding the expectations. Then only I'll go to buy the product and services. So what happens in this is that either I will be satisfied after talking to Mr. Varun. So then it's up to me whether I go ahead to buy the product or not. But if he's not able to convince me, or he's not proven himself on the kind of expectations I had for his product or services, I will be dissatisfied and I might not buy it. Or it could be so much that the expectations which I had, he exceeded those expectations, and I was very much impressed, and I went ahead and bought the product. So it's always about exceeding the expectation. When we're talking about exceeding the expectations, this is where I would like to come out with a video where where we say, I'll show you the difference when you exceed the expectation, what happens, and when you don't exceed the expectations, what happens. So we'll first see when you don't exceed the expectation. So what happens when customers' expectations are not exceeded? Let's look at this video. You might have to adjust your sound in your laptop, in your gadget, whatever you're using, because it might be a little louder or a little slower in that sense. So please.
Enjoy your flight. Thanks. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. We're only boarding rows 9 and above right now. You'll have to wait.
I'm in row 8.
Please step aside, sir.
It's just one row. Don't you think it's okay if I...
We'll call your row momentarily. Step aside, sir. Thank you for waiting. We'd like to continue boarding the aircraft now. We're now boarding all rows, please. All remaining rows. Hello. Enjoy your flight.
So what happened here? The customer's expectation was that I reach to the boarding gate and I will be taken into the aircraft if there is no one already ahead of me. And that is exactly was the case, that there was no one in the lounge. If the airline executive wanted, she could have allowed him to the aircraft, but she was following some kind of a procedure which made her do that. But what happens? You're not exceeding expectation, because after this incident, this passenger is not going to travel with this airlines for sure. So the experience has gone sour. Now, let us look at another example where you are exceeding the expectations and what happens. This is a wonderful video which I always watch whenever I talk about the customer experience. So let's have a look at this one. And this is a classic example of how do you exceed the expectations of the customers.
Good afternoon, SL 146 is ready to taxi.
Mr. Smith boarded? Just a minute, I'll just check for you. He's just boarded.
Okay, go, go, go!
Runway 25 right, SL 146. Mr. Smith, can you look outside? There's a message for you.
So this was a classic example of how do you exceed the customer's expectations. The customer, Mr. Smith, was never expecting something like this, and this is what the airline did. This was, in fact, Brussels Airlines which did that. So this is what I meant to say when I said that how do you exceed your expectations. So, Mr. Varun, now you understand as to what is like exceeding the expectation. I'm sorry, I'm picking on you because
No, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
thank you so much. Let's move forward. So moments of truth I spoke about. This is the point where I also, have to refer to one of the case studies of another airlines. I love airlines because that's the best service industry someone can be in. and they do a lot of great stuff in terms of the customer experience. Although I come from the retail industry background, but I love the customer experience of the airline industry. So moments of truth. Now, these might be three English words, but they are coined long back by someone who is what I'm going to speak about here. So every touch point provides a moment of truth. These are the most important areas to consider while being customer centric. So I said every touch point in the customer journey is where you can make or break that customer. So they are also the moment of truth, not only for you, for the customers as well. So what happened in 1981? Scandinavian Airlines, also referred to as SAS, you might have heard of, they're very popular in Europe. They were under $8 million losses. None of the people at the helm of the affairs, including the president, CEO, board of directors, knew as to what do we do to contain the losses and bring back the airlines into profits. They didn't know anything. They appointed this guy. His name was 𝐁𝐀𝐍𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐞. He was just 39 years old when he was appointed as the president of the company to revive the company. What did he do? Within 2 years, this is what he did. 71 million of profit at what level of sales? $2 billion of sales just in 2 years. So $8 million negative, 71 million positive at the sales revenue of $2 billion. And then people wrote books on what he did. And the name of that book was Moments of Truth. The cover page of that book is there. I would recommend anyone who would like to understand more about the touch points and the moment of truth as to what happens in the customer journey, please go through and buy this book. It's an amazing book. What did he do? I don't want to elaborate here because that will need another 1 hour of session to talk about as to what all he did, but this is exactly what is written in that book also. And I can only say that the whole revival of the SAS airline started by this story of coffee stains. So Mr. 𝐁𝐀𝐍𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐞, when he was put into the helm of the affairs of the airline, he visited some of the aircraft. One thing which he found was that this, the turntable we have in front of us, the tray on which we keep our, coffee mugs and everything when we are in the airlines. He went into one of the aircraft. He opened all of them one after another, and he saw that each one of them is having a coffee stain. And this was the aircraft which was about to take the passengers to fly. So this is not something that it is under maintenance or it is going to be clean or something. So this is where he said that what the hell? I mean, if this kind of the aircraft we are providing to the customers, obviously they're not going to travel through SAS Airlines. So this is where this whole turnaround started, and this is what is mentioned in this book also. Please go ahead and have a look at this book. So now at this point, I would say as to what is why CX is important, because till now we've spoken about the different components of customer experience. We saw as to how exceeding the customer expectations always makes it better. So one thing which you have to understand is this: consumers are buying experiences. They are not no more buying products. Samsung is selling phone, Apple is selling phone, Huawei, Vivo, Oppo, everybody is selling phones. Everybody has the same kind of features. Everyone has everything, whatever is possible in today's world. Why is it that you buy from a certain product, a certain brand only? Because these brands are looking at your entire journey. They're looking at the touch points which you're going through, and then making sure that they are providing you the products which give you that kind of experience which you're looking at. So that is what you're buying. You go to a Disney place, if the Mickey Mouse does not smile and he frowns on you, what will you feel? I mean, you will say, what the hell, where have I come? So because you come for the experience, you have not come to see the frowning face of a Mickey Mouse. So that is why that is what I meant by saying that consumers buy experience, not product. Second is it gives you increased revenue. We'll talk about it when we go to the next slide. And it increases your brand image as well. Better customer retention, somebody spoke about it, that customer are going to come back to you. Enhanced customer loyalty, we spoke about it, and there is an incremental customer lifetime value. Some of the people who are not from the background of retail, they might not know as to what is the lifetime value of a customer. So I give you example. Let's say Umesh buys a solar panel which costs $100 with Mr. Varun. I keep buying this different products from Mr. Varun. Let's say I buy twice a month, $100 each time, and so I give a business of $200 to Mr. Varun every month. So on a period of 1 year, I give him $24 to $100 worth of business. Let's say I am his customer for 10 years and I keep buying in the similar way. So I'm giving him business of $24,000 over a period of 10 years. Now what happens? Something goes wrong and I've stopped buying from Mr. Varun. Mr. Varun straight away loses $24,000 worth of business. And let's say he was earning 10% profit from me. So he's losing $2,400 every time he loses a customer like Umesh. So that is the lifetime value a customer has. So look at as to what you're losing if you are not containing or retaining customer through your customer experiences. Now, I'll give you some figures as to why I say, customer experience is important. It increases your revenue by 300% over a period of 3 years. If you give a better customer experience, this is what happens. It increases your profit by 25 to 95%. I gave you an example of SAS Airlines. What happened? Minus $7 million to $71 million profit. So you could say it's an increase of more than 100%. 86% of customers will be more loyal to you. So I will be more loyal to Mr. Varun if he gives me that kind of a customer experience, which I'm looking for, and I'll be doing this thing 86% more. 89% of the customers will buy from you again and again. And these are not made up data. I have given the survey source here. Salesforce has come out with, Bain and Company has come out with, Forrester has come out with. They're all the published figures. They're all in the public domain. You can go ahead and look at it. 68% of the customers are willing to pay more if you give them that kind of customer experience. Why people love Apple iPhones? For the experience, and you're ready to pay a fortune for those iPhones. On the contrary, what happens if you give a bad customer experience to your customers? This is what happens. You lose $62 billion every year. That's the amount of money companies have lost when they did not give the kind of experience customers were looking at. 91% of the customers will go to the competitors. Do you want this, Mr. Varun, that I go to someone else? So please look at the customer experience, make sure that you give that kind of a customer. One more figure, 58% of the customers will switch brand. Vivo, Oppo does not give me the good experience, I go to Samsung. Samsung does not give, I go to iPhone. I'm sure it will get it. It will give me that experience. 78% of the people will abandon their purchase at any point of time. Amazon has 34% of the cart abandonment. That's a real figure. Why? Because you had a very good experience till the point you reached to the cart, and then suddenly Amazon says that your product cannot be delivered at your place. What do? You abandon it. Or they say that there is no cash on delivery, you have to pay upfront, you don't want to do it, your experience is spoiled, you abandon it. Or they say that it will be delivered after 10 days, but you need it tomorrow, what do? You abandon it. So this is what I mean to say about the touch points and what happens when you don't get that kind of experience. 3 examples in this video, which just listen to this video, you will know as to what a great customer experience is. 3 examples from 3 different people, 3 different locations, 3 different brands. Let's have a look at it.
My best customer service experience happens every week. Every Saturday or Sunday, I go to the wet market in Ghim Moh. And when I get to the vegetable store, I choose the vegetables I want, and I never have to queue, despite the fact that there's a long queue. I just choose what I want, I put them all into a couple of baskets, I leave them at the counter, and I go off and have my breakfast in the hawker center next to the market. Then I come back to the vegetable store. All my vegetables are packed in plastic bags. If they run out of a vegetable that I want, they'll just tell me not to worry, they'll find it. So they'll go to another store and get it from the store and then bring it back for me. Isn't that wonderful? It's personal service, they're kind, they're friendly, we banter a lot, we joke about each other. And we've become good friends.
One of the best customer experience I've had was at a local hotel. I was on the way to dinner to meet some friends and it was raining quite heavily. So I was a little bit drenched. Upon reaching the hotel, I was feeling a little bit cold. And while looking at the menu, I was doing this action and I think it caught the eye of one of the waitresses. She brought over a shawl and a glass of warm water and asked, would you like a shawl, and this is some warm water for you. I think you might be feeling cold. So I think this gesture of hers made me feel special and that she was really attentive to my needs and being sensitive. So that was very thoughtful of her.
I clearly remember a few years ago, the family and I went for holidays in Tokyo, and it was pretty foolish of me to leave a bottle of Japanese wine into my hand carriage. So what happened is that at the immigration, clearly I was stopped, and I was telling myself it's gone, because any immigration in the world will not allow you to bring the bottle on board, and most of the time they just throw it away for you. But it was really to my surprise, the immigration officer actually asked my family to stay behind and asked me to follow him. Our immigration back to the check-in counter, and with a lot of effort, they managed to retrieve my check-in luggage. And he helped me to pack the wine, put in the luggage, check it through. At that time, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is very dumbfounded for me. The guy really don't have to do that. And what really surprises me is that throughout this process, the guy has just such a nice demeanor and smile on his face and a sincerity that really touched my heart. At that point, I just tell myself that he clearly has my interest at heart and try to make sure that this whole process is as good as it can. And at the end of the day, he actually apologized to me for all the inconvenience. So I was thinking, wow, that is really true customer service for me. So I was very, very impressed by the incidents.
So what he said in the end, wow, that was the best customer experience I had ever had. Small things which makes a lot of difference. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand as to what I mean to say when I say touch points. Yeah. At this point, now you understood what is customer experience, what are the components of customer experience, what is needed to be done to make a customer happy. We have seen a few videos. At this point of time, I would like you to go into the breakout rooms. Now, what do you have to do? You have to do an exercise. I want to make it sure that you guys are understanding as to what I'm telling you here, so that when we come out of the breakout room, we will discuss as to what do you think the customer experience is from your point of view. Now, what is the topic? This is the topic. So consider that you are the owner of a, let's say, a big, large, departmental store. Let's say, I mean, I'm sure Mr. Varun will not like it because he's into a different space, but then we all use departmental store for our needs of products and services. So consider that you are an owner of a departmental store. Each one of you are different owners of your own departmental stores. Come out with 3 ideas, or I would say, let's say, 3 ideas that what would be a successful customer experience strategy for your departmental store. Okay, so what we do is that we have got, I think, 27 people here, except me and Jaspreet, so 25. So let's divide 5 into 5 groups of 5 each, Jaspreet, and give them, let's say, 3 to 4 minutes, and then we come back and discuss as to what do you come out with. I would advise that each group nominate one person to speak when we come back after the breakout, so that we are not speaking to 25 people separately. Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead, Jaspreet.
Thank you, Umesh. And guys, what I have done is I've sent this message as well. You are owner of a big departmental store. Come out with 3 ideas on what would be a successful customer experience strategy for your store. So I am going to divide, create 5 groups, and one of the group can be a lead. You can all discuss the ideas, and then you can share all your ideas, when we come back. Let's say we'll give 4 minutes. So I'm just going to do that. Kshitija, you also join. So I'm going to create the rooms, right? So I'm creating 5 rooms. Okay. Okay. So Umesh, you will also get the invite, but you don't need to accept that, right? Okay, so all good. Let's do it. So you would see a room number in front of you, room number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just go ahead, and it's a good opportunity to meet people as well. So let's do it quickly. Room number 4, Sauji, Sachin Jain Saab, Swati. Yeah, let's do it quickly. Room number 3, yeah, all done. Gaurav, room number 2, you are missing. Okay, okay. Jain Saab, Swati. Vinitji, room number 5. You guys, you can start. Room number 1 and room number 3 are full house. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Still there are yeah, almost everybody.
Are we on time, Jaspreet?
Hanji, we are absolutely on time. So maybe we'll stretch by another 15-20 minutes, wherein the Q&A would be very, very interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think very powerful, Umesh. I think people usually don't give that much of attention. Everybody's focus is largely on sales. क्या number आना चाहिए, उसके बाद वो कितना retain होता है, कितना experience क्या होता है उसका. And
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Now, and I think a lot of learnings from bank's perspective as well. You know, I was sharing the message with my team also as we were, going through the presentation again. So Kshitija and Ayushi also, that
Right.
this is something, we really need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a journey.
I mean, it's very well applicable to bank as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why not?
100%.
Yeah.
Practice what you preach.
Absolutely. I mean, we are all customers.
Absolutely.
That's why it is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I was telling, that one word which you just mentioned, that personal service, again, we put a lot of emphasis on that, because every individual is different, the expectations are different.
Yeah.
But if you're just there, listening to that particular person, that what are your needs, and you go out of the way to help that person, I think you've done your job. Business will automatically happen, that I
Absolutely.
think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
you can copy everything. You cannot copy the customer experience and the strategies.
right. So true. So true. Kshitija, you haven't joined?
Sir, I didn't get any. I'm the host. I didn't get any pop-up.
Okay. Oh, sorry. In fact, I would have wanted you also. So
No.
I
I have
the rooms. So maybe you join the room just to see, just to experience it. You can join room number 4 or join room number 5.
Okay. Let's say I have 3 ideas to develop a successful customer experience strategy. I have enlisted that.
Okay, great. Or maybe you can make me co-host and you can join just to see how people. Umesh, how was the concept? How did you like the way we have structured, the entire meeting? Any thoughts?
Oh, it's very good. Obviously, I can see that there are people from different backgrounds and all walks of life. So it makes quite interesting. Yeah. Few things which I have in my mind, which I think we can discuss on one-to-one basis, based on my own experience in different networking groups here in UAE. Yeah. So I think that will make it much more better than what it is now. I can see your website has come out very nice.
Great.
It's much better than what it is now. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
So Kshitija and Ayushi and all that, how do they work? I mean, I'm sure that they must be quite busy in different things all the times. So how are they? They are working for bank, or they're working individually? Or how?
No. They are part of bank. They are core team, part of core team. So they are the community managers. Right. Ayushi is the senior person, and Kshitija just joined a couple of months back. But both of them are doing an amazing job. They have their PDA, which is primary daily activities, as we really assign it, and the focus is largely to connecting the people with different set of members and ensuring that they are interacting with each other. And once that happens, business automatically happens, leads automatically gets generated, right? So so
I think that's why I said that Varun has a lot of scope in UAE. I don't know whether he's looked at that or not, because he's still expanding within India itself. There's a lot of scope in India itself, but UAE, the sun is there always much more than it is in India.
Right.
So there's a lot of possibility, and the government is doing a lot of emphasis on this thing. So that's why.
No, absolutely. I will set up a call with Varun. And obviously, as we discussed earlier, the idea is to start Dubai as well. And when we have the like-minded partners, and it's a win-win position for everybody. So
absolutely,
again, we can create a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Mr. Manager. Thank you so much, Mr. Manager. Yeah, Eid Mubarak to you. So sorry that on your festival day, you're asked to come here in the morning.
No. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to learn so many things from you, Umesh.
Eid Mubarak, Manager ji. Eid Mubarak.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining. I hope to get.
It's an honor.
So you hope you get roti, as we say, return on time invested, right? So whatever time you have invested, so you get value out of that.
Jasprit, I have to say that you need to speak to this guy, and you will be dumbfounded after that.
Oh, sure.
So have a one-to-one session with me.
Hanji. I think he's back now.
Thank you. Yeah, I think most of us are back.
Okay, I think, yeah.
Okay. So I can see 24, but when we left, we were 27. So 3 are missing, is it?
Yeah, I think some of them are, coming back still.
Okay. So while we discuss with the groups who have come back, which group is come back? Shall we start from group 1? Who is the lead there? And can you tell us what are your ideas?
Yeah, group 1, Monica, Navneet, Shilpa, Yadvinder, Yogesh. Who's the lead and who's going to share that?
Okay, so I can start. I can summarize 3 ideas that we have come up with.
Okay.
The first idea, which is purely customer experience and providing a delight factor to customer, is providing a very personalized and comfortable space to the customer when he or she enters the store, and announcing the personalized messages to them if it is a special day, birthday, anniversaries, or any event for which they have come, announcing it and congratulating it on the speaker. Second is, often at times kids also accompany parents, but kids are really not engaged in the whole shopping thing. So establishing some kids activity engagement areas where they can be engaged while parents are shopping for the basic necessities. And third, which is basically on the automation side, to provide a AI enabled user profiling experience where once the customer enters the store, basis the profile, basis the history, items are already added to the cart. They can pick and choose, and then since we are defining the profile, the payment details will also be saved, so they don't need to get into the checkout counters. As soon as they pick up the stuff, their barcodes will be automatically scanned and the card will be automatically charged for the products. So it's providing a seamless experience right from picking the stuff to the checkout, so that they don't have to get into the long queues during the checkout, and plus they don't have to spend a lot of time on some basic stuff which they buy every time. So creating that user profile and enabling it through AI to provide more automated experience. These were 3 from our side.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Let's go to the group 2.
Yeah, Ayushi, Balwinder ji, Gaurav, Gurdeep ji, Varun.
Yes, Varun ji.
Varun, please go ahead.
Sure. We have picked up 3 areas in the broad customer experience journey, wherein there are some ideas that we would present. One is, when a customer enters into a departmental store, then if, let's say, sometimes the customer is coming from very disturbed environment or engagement, and he's little troubled and he's not comfortable. So if we can make him comfortable and get into a relaxed state, then that's where you can make him prepared for a very good experience and getting him settled down. So that is one thing that we decide upon, that we should focus on customer entry and making him relaxed. So at the entrance point itself, if we can create a kind of very good experience, we can have cheerful and attending staff in some way, even if at the basic level, and if we can have some kind of complimentary gift which actually makes him relaxed. So that is one strategy that we thought about. Second thing we thought about what is the customer experience, customer journey through the entire thing. So most important point for the customers are that whenever they enter, they have entered in, we have engaged them, we have made them relax. After that, if they have all the information handy to them, that what all do they need to purchase, and what all do they where is the material that they actually require, then that's where he would not be puzzled, and his decision making will be more relaxed, and he'll be open for more purchases. So this is another area that we could think of, and for this could be done either through manual engagement or through use of technology. So we could have a roadmap which could be given to the customer either through technology, through display boards, or whether various other things, and also have the right kind of roadmap. Second thing, whenever he has there should be visual management for most of the things which are there. Either it is the gangways which the customer follows, or where are things or offers display and all those things. So this is second area that we thought about, that attention to details is something which is very important, and proper information dissemination to the customer. This is second strategy that we thought about. Third strategy that we thought about is that while he is making the entire journey, there could be some distracting factors that could be there, or for example, the kids, if they are not engaged and if they are pricking on the parents, then they might not make the right decisions. So there should be some engagement exercises or some facilities which can be done for those kind of customers. And in this itself, during the exit point, while he's doing that, we should be able to monitor the entire journey of the customer. What was he looking into, and whether he found out what he wanted or not. And if he has found out something, then related to that, what is it that we can propose or suggest to him without really being without being a pressing thing over him. So these are the three areas that we thought about, sir.
Excellent. I think 4 minutes was much less for you guys because you've thought too much within the 4 minutes itself. So thank you so much for this insight.